All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and this is episode 39 of my custom Kingdom Death Monster campaign. We're about to start Lantern Year 12. And again, why this campaign is custom is because I added some custom things to the campaign. I've modified some of the rules to better fit better gameplay. I've changed a couple things just so there's more immersion, as well as I added, as if those that follow this, my own Ismortah religion to the campaign, which incorporates also not only the fact that my settlement is called Showdown, but the fact that religion is the balance of light and dark, and traits and certain endeavors, as well as a starting Twilight Night survivor, all linked to this Ismortah religion. I'm definitely going to do a post later that you can look up what it's all entailed if you want to incorporate it for your campaign later on. But so if you see some discrepancies, it's either because the Ismortah religion that I've added, or gameplay tweaks that I've made to give the game more immersion and easier to track the many elements of the game. Alright, sound looks like I'm getting attacked by a kitty. If you hear a crumbling paper bag, that's my kitty trying to attack me. He already attacked me once this morning. Bit my, actually, my middle finger pretty good, so if you see me struggling with manipulating some card and stuff, that is why. Alright, so what you see here is we're doing the settlement phase. So the survivors are returning, and then we're going to do the settlement event, any triggered story events, and then do some endeavors and also some development, most likely. Alrighty. So again, these are the steps here, which I really like this guide for it. Alright, and so what you see here, these are all my endeavors and principles. These are all my resources, and on top I have things that I plan to do, like I plan to buy these dried acanthus. I plan to do a couple endeavors using these resources. These are all my current current locations that I've developed. I'm going to make Leatherworker. I plan on making that, so I don't have it yet. I plan on making it. And then I only have 2 returning survivors, but I do have all of the gear from all 4 still reserved. Alright. Let's get to it then. Okay, so first setup, I've already shuffled my innovations. I've already shuffled and drawn a settlement event. I have 2 innovations that I've pulled linked to conviction, which that's going to be revealed this settlement as well. All right. So first thing is set up, and we've already set up everything's shuffled. We're good to go on that front. Next, we do the survivor's return. So we heal all damage and remove all temporary tokens. And again, healing damage means you heal physical damage, and as well as reset your armor that you had. You don't heal insanity, because sanity is a fixed number that you can accumulate like survival, but you heal brain damage. You just don't modify your insanity value. So I've already removed the temporary tokens. Now I'm just removing any damage. So Volva can't take any more damage because she's immortal, but she did lose her head armor because she actually lost it altogether, because she instead replaced that with a Twilight Sword. Okay, so she's good. And then Jer did take some damage. He took brain damage at one point in time before he got up to number of insanity. And then he should be at 5 and 4 for a lot of his armor. So head should be at 5, hand should be at 4, Body should be at 4. Waist should be at 5. And legs at 4. Okay. Alright, so everyone's healed up. Those that are still alive. Okay. Next up, we gain endeavors. Because I only have 2 return survivors, I only get 2 endeavors. There are other things that can allow you to accumulate endeavors in the game, like innovations and abilities linked to courage or understanding and stuff, but I don't think I have any of those. The only thing I have with courage is prepared, that I can add hunt experience to my roll when determining a straggler. So I only had 2 return survivors, so I only get 2 endeavors, and that's what these are. Next up, we update the timeline. So like I've mentioned before, whereas milestones and triggered story events I do immediately, scripted story events that are added to here is the only thing I do during the development phase. Otherwise, if it's a triggered thing you look up in the book, or it's a milestone, like from proficiency or something like that, those I do immediately. Because you've earned it, you immediately get that benefit. And so I don't have to track it. Because there's a lot of things to track. Alright, so we're at Lantern Year 12, so I'm marking the box. And this year, this could be Principal Conviction, as well as Hooded Knight Story Event. Alright, but those come up next. So next, we do the settlement event, and then story events, and then we can develop, which means we can make gear and we can do stuff with locations and do endeavors. All right, so next, it says update death count and check milestones, but those, like I said, I do as they occur, so those will never be during settlement phase. So what we're doing right now is updating timeline and doing all story events, and then we'll go to develop. Whereas prepare departing survivors, that is part of settlement phase, but I always do that part of the hunt stream, because the hunt is really where you're doing all of the strategy up before the showdown. So you're figuring out who's going to go, you're doing the hunt, you're figuring out how you're going to engage the monster. It's all like the strategy of trying to get it to the monster, and that's why I include it. And it also divides up the time for the stream so they're more balanced time-wise. Okay. So, and why I do some of my strategy of what I'm going to plan on potentially doing during the summit phase, before summit phase, that way, because if I start getting theory crafting on ideal builds and stuff, that could really soak up time, just like why I also shuffle decks, or try to largely between streams, because those also soak up time, and that's not interesting gameplay to watch anyway. Strategy is cool, but it's cool when you're doing strategy or seeing it, not going back and forth on what to do. Okay, so next we do is settlement events, which is, and I kind of hope it's one I haven't seen before. How is that possible? Seriously. I shuffled this deck so many times, and I get Skull Eater again. I've shuffled this so many times that I'm like, I'm going to call bullshit. Like, honest to God. Honestly. I'll show you what I mean. And I almost worry if it's because if I keep putting cards back the same way and shuffling, that I keep getting the same cards. You know what I mean? Like, if you always put it on the top. Like, while I'm saying that I'm house ruling this, I'm not doing Skull Eater. That's bullshit. I've gotten this so many times, and you have this huge deck of cards is bullshit. So we're not doing Skull Eater. I don't care. We're not doing it. I'm shuffling again. That is complete bullshit. But you know what I mean? Like, if you keep putting cards back the same way and roughly keeping the same number of shuffles, then you might start getting the same cards come up potentially over a long period of time. So you really want to be random and keep doing it different ways. So anyway, I'm not doing that event. I don't care what anybody says, because that's bullshit. There are 15... How many? 15 to maybe 20 different events. So let's mix up a little bit. How about that? Sorry about that. To be honest, I'm kind of down for seeing basically any settlement event other than Murder and Skull. I mean, it's like, come on, man. That's bullshit. I already have a triggered event for it. We're not doing that event. Like I said, I think that's just a symptom of how it was shuffled. If you always put on the top, and if you always do the section sorting once, and then this type of shuffling a few times, you know, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not doing that event. So, yeah, these events are random. They are random. It is the idea. Like I said, I don't mind seeing events again or multiple times, but out of all of the events I see multiple times, it's always that one. It's just like, it's not fun gameplay. And yes, we already have it scheduled on more murders and stuff happening, so it's not like I'm avoiding it. It's just like, come on, man. Out of all the interesting stuff we could see, we shouldn't keep drawing exactly the same fucking card. So that's why we're not doing it. Sorry. Alright, the new settlement is, now like I said, like I play the game for immersion and fun and, you know, see new stuff. Alright, so the settlement event we got now is Elder Council. So let's take a look at what that is. I'll show you the card. Don't worry about if you can't make out what anything says. I just want to show you what the card looks like. It says Elder Council. The elders of the settlement gather to reminisce over the hard-won scars. See, this really fits story-wise because we kind of had a transference of potential power of the settlement. The fact that now Volva has the Twilight Sword. So this is actually fitting story-wise. So, again, that's what we're doing. You could say story-wise that, yes, we know there's a potential other Skull Eater in the Mist, but, again, it's lying in secret. Because our society has no societal rules yet. We're just creating stuff to help the society. We're not, like, structured, right? We just have beliefs that we follow. Okay. So I'll read again. The elders of the settlement gather to reminisce over their hard-won scars. Count the total number of hunt experience among all survivors. Add the bonuses. And consult the table. So the bonuses, it says, is if you have Saga, Innovation, which I do not, Scarification, I do not, and Records, I do not. So that means, otherwise, what we do is we count the total number of hunt experience among all survivors in the settlement, and then consult the table. So that's obviously living survivors. So let's see what that is. I don't have many characters left, so it's going to be relatively low. But Oko has a bunch, but I also had characters die, so let's see what it is. So I have 6 people in the settlement, but one of them was a new character, so their hunt experience I know is 0. That character was Jonas. Okay, so let's count. So we have, and I'll count this twice just in case I accidentally miss counting a box or something. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. 18, 19, 20. 21. So it looks like my total might be 21. So let's count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so the total that I see here is 21 hunt experience. Okay. So on this table, there are ranges 0 to 6, 7 to 20, 21 to 50, 51 to 99, and 100 plus. So we just got into this bracket of 21 to 50. The first thing it says is -1 endeavor. So that's going to be a huge problem. Because, again, we only had 2 endeavors. That's this here. I was planning on using 1 endeavor to innovate and 1 endeavor to make the leatherworker. Leatherworker, technically, I could make it whenever, sure. But innovation, you can only do 1 per settlement phase. So now what this is telling me is we're not going to be able to do leatherworker at all this time, which really doesn't matter because it's not like we could use it. I was just taking advantage of the fact that I had an endeavor, so it's something productive. So it looks like all we'll have to do is this, and then I have to spend 1 on whatever the elders are doing. And what it says is -1 endeavor. One of the elders recalls a story about a bizarre lion it met on a dangerous hunt. Honestly, for this, I would say it's Ismortah because she was the first person to ever see a white lion who's actually still alive in the original party of 4. If it tells me to nominate someone anyway, that's who I'd say the elder is Ismortah. The elders I would say is Ismortah and Volva at this point. On the council, on the third one I would say is also what's his name? Octo? What is his name? Ogo. Because he was the notorious skull eater and all that stuff. And you know, story-wise, I have to say why briefly when we saw Skull Eater, because he's thinking about it. Does he want to eat another person at this point? Okay, anyway. It says here, one of the elders recalls a story about a bizarre lion it met on a dangerous hunt. The monster was mourning, and in its paw held a tattooed human hand. Add the Beast of Sorrow to your quarry list. You will find its rules on the Legendary Monster Story event page. You may now hunt this monster. So the Beast of Sorrow, if I recall, is the legendary version of the White Lion. So the White Lion, there's the I want to say prequel, but the prelude to how to play the game level. There's the P level, and then there's level 1, level 2, level 3, and then there's level L, the legendary version of the monster. And I believe that's what this is. Beast of Sorrow. So I add that to my quarry list, the fact that now I can fight it, because otherwise I believe in order to fight a legendary monster, you have to have like a certain mask or something to summon it. But one of our elders, which it says Ismortah, had a dream about the Beast of Sorrow. Okay, so I'm going to add that to the list on my settlement sheet. Beast of Sorrow. And what else does it say? You may now hunt this beast, is all it says. You may now hunt the monster. I mean, I'm still debating whether I have the power to even fight a level 2 at this point, because I don't have all of my actions, a ton of survival, or even 3 to 4 people with at least 4 armor on their gear. But now it's a possibility to fight later in the campaign. Alright, so that's it for that event. And so you know, for the record, there will be a murder that's linked to the Skull Eater type of events on Lantern Year 15. So that is coming up. We're currently on Lantern Year 12, just starting. All right, so let me add this event too. It's Elder Council. And I'm guessing most likely I'm going to be finding Antelope, but we'll see. I'll write Antelope on this as well. Okay. So next, and again, like, you know, I'm down in getting random stuff for this. It's just, out of all of the cards, the fact that I keep drawing Skull Eater is kind of bullshit. Because I want to see like, one of the reasons why I'm playing this game is to see content. And like I said, it's not like I'm dodging the bullet. I've already gotten Skull and or murder multiple times during this campaign. So I just want to see something else. Cool, so that was Elder Council. It's cool, now I have a potentially bigger fight once I get better gear and, I don't know, a decent population, like 10 or above. So that way if I lose, it's not a settlement game over. Alright, so that was Elder Council. Next up are the triggered story events. So first up is Principal Conviction. So let me turn to that in the book. Conviction, 153. It's sort of like D&D, you know, back to the topic just for a sec. You know, it's all about creating the experience for me. It's like, is it more important to you to be married to the mechanics, or are you playing the game for the experience? And I'm playing for the experience, right? So I'm doing what's best for making an interesting story, easier to manage story, immersive story. Anyway, enough on that. All right, so this is Principal Conviction. You have the art on the left, and then what's going on the right. And I don't recall I've ever seen this before, because I think last time when I played a campaign of Kingdom Death Monster years ago, it was right before, I think the last year I played was Lantern Year 11, actually. Okay, so it's Principal Conviction. The survivors must find a reason to be. Treasure the darkness in all its mystery, or seek to master it and grow strong. So I could choose to master the darkness or to treasure the mystery. So this choice, like, partly you can think of, well, you know, what's best for how I'm doing a build for my survivors when I hunt, sure. But also, I wanted to make a decision that matches my religion. Because again, I have the Ismortah religion, right? And honestly, for this religion, it's all about balancing light and dark. So I think mastering the darkness would, just for that respect, might match better. And if you also look at the cards that you could choose from, either being barbaric or romantic, romantic, it says, you know, believe in the potential for beauty, decency, and ingenuity. Whereas barbaric is believe in the power of human strength to overcome any obstacle. And, you know, we're all about surviving. So, like, this painting stuff is to win the human spirit. and take care of family with beds, the light side, and then be barbaric and conquer with drums and cannibalize and technology so we can advance our civilization with language and technology like heat and ammonia. I think barbaric is what I'm going to do. So barbaric and close, just so you can see the pic. Don't worry about it if you can't read, because I'll read it to you. So it says barbaric, conviction principle, survival limit goes up 1. Believe in the power of human strength to overcome any obstacle. All current and newborn survivors gain +1 permanent strength. So basically, for my civilization, from here on out, everyone gets +1. So that is what we will go with. So, let me go ahead and add this to the society, and then there's a bunch of stuff that happens with the Master the Darkness choice. Okay, so first of all, our conviction, we're choosing barbaric. And we still haven't chosen society yet, only because we haven't encountered that yet. Because we just have not triggered it. We're going to be barbaric, which is survival limit +1, and also permanent +1 all survivors. +1 strength perm all survivors. Which then means the survival limit total I'm raising from 6 to 7. Alrighty. And now other stuff happens as well. So now we are also barbaric. Alright, so that says Master of the Darkness. You know what? I'll write down the sheet too. That's kind of fun. Master the Darkness. Okay. It says, life is finding the perfect death. Which, again, that's also a pretty good motto, just because the fact that 3 out of 4 people in this so far in the settlement die, that it's like, to bring meaning to their death. Besides the fact that it also adds resources, right? It says the lantern is power. By its light, all will be led to their final glorious moment. Add Hands of Heat story event to the next year on the timeline. The summit gains the conviction principle barbaric, which I've already added. Find and place the card on the settlement board and note it on the settlement record sheet. After adding this card to the settlement, roll a d10, see what happens. Okay, so next thing I would do is add the Hands of Heat story event. So Hands of Heat is already triggered to come up on Lantern Year 16. But now it's also going to come up Lantern Year 13. Hands of Heat. Okay. Next, we roll a d10 to see what happens. So I'll use the ivory color since we're doing it all about the light to master the darkness. We rolled a 2. On a 1 to 5, the settlement celebrates with a I'm sorry, I paused because something devastating just happened. I'm just thinking. All right, so I'll read. The settlement celebrates with a destructive feast, and that's kind of what I was kind of avoiding with Hands of Heat, because I saw twice when I had Hands of Heat story event that I lost resources, right? Half of my resources. It says, the settlement celebrates with a destructive feast. Lose all resources, including the storage. If 10 or more resources were lost this way, departing survivors gain +1 permanent speed and the honorable disorder. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is like beyond devastating. I had so many resources saved up. I got 19 resources. And I had like 6 or 8 resources in storage. I mean, this is a huge problem. This is like destructive to the entire game. Like, I would almost even argue it's game breaking. You know, it's like, so it's like then the only way to make up the fact you keep losing all of your resources is you have to do these hunts against level 2 or level 3 monsters, of which you're at a deficit to even killing because they have such huge advantages over you. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, if I rolled a 1 to 5, this would have happened. If I rolled 6 to 10, it looked like I would not have lost any of my resources. I don't know. That's what my civilization's known for. It's like we start killing each other and doing nothing for it and saying it's for the religion, and then we blow through all the resources for stupid feast reasons. This wouldn't be the first time. This would be the 3rd time this happened. And as you saw, like, I actually drew Skull Eater, you know, but, you know, well, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but God, lose all resources? Seriously? All because of a die roll. If I rolled 6 to 10, I would have avoided this. I don't know. It's so destructive that I don't even know if I want to even allow that to happen, to be honest. God, Jesus. This is so stupid. I don't know, it's just game. Now we're getting to like the fun factor is just like mechanically it's stupid. Like, your settlement's going to destroy every single resource, all of them, really. It just, I don't know, I just think it's, like I said, there's a lot of things in this game that's inventive and cool, but it just like, the game almost justifies the fact that it has some things that are broken or not balanced by saying, well, the game's all about death, so if it's unbalanced, you die, and the game's about death. It's kind of like a cop-out, honestly, coming from a fellow game designer. I don't know. Well, before I make a decision on, like, losing resources, I get it. I could do a feast, but, you know, I'm thinking about maybe I'll just do it like Hands of Heat and just say you lose half your resources is what I may house rule. But before I make the decision, let me see what Honorable Disorder is. That I do not recall. Oh, wait, I know what that is. It's on here. Honorable, everyone has to attack. No one can attack in the blind spot. But you get +1 permanent speed. Okay. Yeah, so I am going to house rule this because my civilization, even though there may be a gorge and be go above and beyond on wasteful when celebrating life. You know, I get it because you have such these bad things happen with death that you want to celebrate life. I get it. Um, they wouldn't blow through all of their resources. That is just stupid. Because they still need to be able to survive. Celebrate, sure, but you still need to survive. Right. To go through all of your resources sort of implies that you're giving up on life altogether. And here you're supposed to be celebrating life. So I will continue with this result, but I'm going to say that I only lose half my resources because honestly, I just think that that is just a broken ruling for the game. So that's how I'm going to house rule it. One, because, like I said, because it makes the game not fun. The fact that you earn something and lose it, when that happens enough, it's just not fun. Like, I get the whole experience of people die and stuff, and even if the civilization does not live, but I mean, at the same time, you want the game should be fun to play. Either a fun story, you know, that you're engaged. If you feel like every time you do something, it gets snuffed out of you, that's not fun, right? It's one thing if you're watching it happen, but the fact that you're involved and you feel like nothing you do matters, that's you know, not something you want players to feel, actually. Feel sadness, yes, but to feel like, why am I playing this game? That's, you know. So anyway, I'm going to house rule this. Because one is you lost no resources, and the other one you lose all your resources. I'm going to split the difference. So I'll say I lose half my resources. That way it's similar to a Hands of Heat feast. You're having a feast, sure. And I'll still keep the whoever are the departing survivors, they will get the honorable disorder as well as +1 permanent speed. Okay. We need to move on. Okay, so how many resources do we have total? Okay. Whew. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we have 19 resources here, which I guess I should have known because I counted last session. Then we have 1, 2. Okay, so I have 11 resources in storage, 19 out here. So that means in total we have 30 resources. And since I'm house ruling it, I'll say that we lose half the resources because we're having a feast. Similar to Hands of Heat. We're celebrating. Okay, so that means I lose 15 resources, and because I lost 10 or more, my people that depart will get honorable and +1 permanent speed. Okay. So I have to lose 15 resources. So let's see what that means. I mean, definitely all the acanthus plants, because that's one I can re-get for sure. So 2 acanthus. I don't want to lose all the broken lanterns because I may need scraps for stuff, so you know, I might at least keep 1 broken lantern. That's 4 resources. This is 5. I still need to lose 10. I mean, I could also house rule that this doesn't happen at all. But, you know, a feast to celebrate, we've done that before. I'm cool with that. But, like I said, you know, yeah. all this, the feast will always have the same magnitude. Unfortunately. Okay, so, and it could very well also be one thing that's keeping the civilization happy, because again, you have to be insane to go into combat and know that you're most likely not going to come back from the endeavor, and even if you do, that you're not going to live forever. The most that anyone's actually lived in this game is 3 or 4 Lantern years, not including Isma, right? Okay, so I know the most important resource for me right now is pelts, so I kind of don't want to get rid of any of my pelts. So maybe if I could at least keep one of everything or of everything else or something like that. So let's see what the math comes out to. And I don't want to lose those couple resources I had from the Phoenix, only because it's hard to get. And I really want to make the katana and with its sheath, blood sheath combo eventually. So let's see how many resources we've totaled now. Of course, now I'm sort of contemplating not even doing this at all, but I'll entertain it. Sure. Half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is 10 resources, so I still have to get rid of another 5. Which I'm looking at my sheet. So I believe this was 10 after, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's 10 resources. Then I could get rid of 1, 2, 3. I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get rid of all the broken lanterns, so I have a scrap for something. Let's see. Bird beak. As far as I know, that's not used for anything. Like, I want to make this, but this is not... Oh, no, it does use a bird beak. God, I'm glad I read that. Jesus. It's pustules. Is pustules used for anything? Pustules is word used to make bird bread, which I don't care. That's too much of a gamble. Okay. So, I can get rid of monster organ. I mean, I'm getting rid of so many resources that's not hides that I may not even be able to innovate. I need a hide and a bone in order to even innovate. Oh, that's true, but I'm not using... I'm keeping these, right? These are all hides. Yeah, I have enough to innovate, because I have organ, bone, and hides there. Right. Ah, damn. 1, 2, 3. These are all hides. That's right. This is what I'm keeping. This one I'm getting away. This is 10. Okay, so I can run another 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So then from the storage, I'm going to lose a skull, 1 of the broken lantern, so I have 2 left. Lose the acanthus, so that's 3. Lose pustules, that's 4, and lose monster organ, that's 5. So that leaves me with 15 resources. Most of them are hides. Okay. Hi, Chihuahua. Okay. But I'll play along. I'll say I lose half. So I lost Skull. Lost a Broken Lantern. Monster Hide. Pustules. Because I need to keep Muculent droppings. Yes. And Monster Order. And then I also lost 2 Shank Bones, Monster Organ, a Beast Steak, another Monster Organ, Nightmare Tick, another Broken Lantern, and more Fresh Acanthus. That which basically leaves me with, in the storage, all Phoenix specific did I just erase the wrong thing? I still have Fresh Acanthus here. Did I erase the wrong thing? Euclid Droppings, Bird Beak. Wait a minute. Well, let's do this backwards. If I got rid of 15, I should have 15 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I accidentally erased something other than Fresh Acanthus. I don't know what I erased. I would have definitely got rid of this Acanthus. So I'll put back Monster Organ. Get rid of Acanthus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So all I have left here are Phoenix parts and a Monster Organ and a Broken Lantern. And then I have a bunch of hides, enough to innovate once, and Love Juice. All right. It's like, you know, I have cannibalism to eat people who die, and then I have a destructive feast. So it's just like people get happy by eating dead corpses is what, like, sort of like the net effect that I'm seeing here. Okay, but I'll entertain it. So I erased what I lost, and I lost all these. I'll just remember, I'll have this off the side, so I remember that people get +1 permanent speed and honorable whoever departs. So I'll just keep this over here so I remember that. Alright, so let's keep it going. Sorry, it's got derailed by these devastating settlement events. And then I also had devastating hunts, like just, it's a devastating hit. Let's see. Next up is the Hooded Knight story event. So that's it for the story event, which I know is very long because there's a lot of decisions and house rulings to make. Alright, so next is the Hooded Knight. But we have destructive feast. People are happy. But it's like, okay, man, but we still need advance in society. Otherwise, I mean, because right now the civilization slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, Hooded Knight. I'll show you the picture again. This one may also be something I might house rule, tweak a little bit, just because I've incorporated the Twilight Knight with my Ismortah religion. And so, and I currently have 2 people that have held the Twilight Sword, one that's a new person, so anyway, we'll see how it goes. Hooded Knight. A stranger emerges from the darkness. If any survivor has Twilight Sword, they duel the knight. So we are doing a duel. And so a duel is going to be with Volva, who has a Twilight Sword and has weapon proficiency of 2, which means I add 2 to the roll. All right. We rolled a 2. Plus 2 is a 4. So it says here, the survivor is badly wounded, suffer the gaping chest wound, severe chest injury, and then the knight hasn't finished business, meaning that he'll come back 4 years from now. So, gaping chest wound. Okay, well, let me do last first. So I added him 4 years from now. So the recurrent themes you see so far in the settlement is I keep getting attacked for having a Twilight Sword. I keep wasting resources on feasts. And then my civilization also keeps murdering people. So it's like, definite light and shadow religion, because we got happy and terrible things happening at the same time. Okay, so 4 years from now would be Lantern Year 16. So the same Lantern Year that I do Hands of Heat will be an additional Hooded Knight. And also remember, Lantern Year 13, which would be next year, will be another Hands of Heat. Hopefully Feast not involved. So we get Hooded Knight. And then also I have to see what Gaping Chest Wound does. I believe that's a severe injury to the chest. So, see if I can't find that. Gaping chest wound. Suffer -1 permanent strength. This injury is permanent and can be recorded multiple times. Gain 1 bleeding token. Bleeding token doesn't matter because it only happens during the showdown. So -1 permanent strength. And I'll write gaping chest wound on the character as well. Only because if you ever heal the chest wound, let's say, you can get that strength back. Is how I would also house rule it. If there's a way. Okay, Disorders has Twilight Sword and also Gaping Chest Wound. And then Strength is -1. So write -1 there. Barbaric I have to calculate, but I'll probably do that when I depart, because I have to update so everyone gets +1 permanent strength everywhere. Actually, no, I'll do that. I'll do it now before I forget. Always. But then when I depart, there's also the honorable and the +1 permanent speed. Okay, so one thing about going to so this person gets -1, so it goes to 4. Sure. Okay. Now. I'm going to go to everyone and mark off that they get +1 now permanent strength. So the people that haven't used it, I'll just make a note. So Jonas, I'll say +1 strength, +1 STG. And now update everyone's geared character card to reflect that they have +1 strength. So I have 6 people in my settlement. Right. Yeah. Alright, so Volva got -1, but with Barbaric gets +1, so it's back to 0 for the bonus. So it goes to 5. Well, using that weapon, you know what I mean. Jared gets +1. So this would go to 6. Okay. Oko gets +1. That goes to 4. Emily gets +1. Goes to 6. And Isma gets +1. Okay, so I've given everyone the +1 bonuses from Barbaric permanently in the Civilization. Okay, so all these survivors are good-ish, and we've done all the story stuff. So now we can develop. So that's the it list. So we did Hooded Knight, we did Conviction, which we house ruled a little bit. Well, we did the average, you know. Had it mirror the feast for Hand Feet, and then we did Elder Council. Again, we house ruled that because I just want to see new content and sick of seeing the Skull Eater out of all these events multiple times. Which, like I said, I think it's just a symptom of how I shuffled. Because if you shuffled practically the same way and you put the card back the same way, then you're bound on average to keep seeing the same cards, right? So I just feel like that's a symptom of my bad shuffling. And I want to see new content, because that's why I'm playing games for fun. Imagine that. Okay, so now we develop. So we have one endeavor left we can do. So I'm going to do an innovation. And then I am going to do Love Juice. And then probably not make anything else, because we just got a bunch of hides. And in order to innovate the leather worker, we would need to spend resources and innovate. And endeavor, which we can't, because we only had one endeavor. So, next what we're going to do is innovate. And again, I'll do the barbaric stuff on departure when we depart, which will be next stream. Alright, so we're going to innovate. So I need to spend one of every type of resource. So I have a bone, an organ, and a hide. So we'll spend those, and we will innovate. So when I innovate, because I have Symposium, I can draw 4 cards and then choose which one I want to do. And I've already shuffled. But because I talked about problems with my shuffling before, I'll shuffle again, just so stuff is mixed. But yeah, especially those settlement cards, only because they're so big that even when you shuffle like this, it's hard to do because they're awkward to hold. So I felt like they just weren't shuffling. So then, however, when I did this method, you're getting like the same stuff come up. Or it's like, well, anyway, enough of that. My game, I play how I want. Alright, so I'm drawing 4 cards. Take 4 off the top. And this are the ones I can choose from. I have Cooking, Scrap Smelting, Song of the Brave, and Nightmare Training. So I'll show you pics of them. So this one is cooking. That I could raise my survival limit by another 1. And I'll always get an additional endeavor during the settlement phase. So that's interesting. I don't think I realized that before. Like it takes an endeavor to do these abilities here, but this means that I'll always get an additional endeavor, which is interesting. Especially if you use it for stats or someone going out, like with drums. Scrap smelting. This allows me to generate iron by spending scrap. A lot of scrap, it looks like. So that's interesting. Only because it's a way that I can get iron. And I need that to make higher level gear. So that is interesting. And this scrap smelting is actually cheaper than using the weapon crafter one. So that's, for that reason, interesting choice also. Song of the Brave. The survivors lift their voices into the darkness. On arrival, each non-deaf survivor may remove a negative attribute token if they have it. And then everyone can always choose Path of the Brave for overwhelming darkness. Now that's interesting, because if you're fighting level 2 monsters in particular, you always have to go through overwhelming darkness. So this basically allows you to more safely do level 2 monsters. So that's interesting. Nightmare training. Allows you to actually endeavor to gain +1 to accuracy or strength every time you do it. So if you can keep inflating with endeavors, it allows you to actually, well, that's if you get a 10+, which is hard to get actually. 8 or 9, you can go up a proficiency level, but it allows you to raise stats, which is interesting. I'd say the least interesting right now is Nightmare Training, only because this only affects one person versus affecting multiple people. So probably not going to do Nightmare Training this time. Scrap smelting's interesting just because it's a cheaper way to get blacksmith, and it's a way that I can get iron. But that being said, do I need this card now? Not really. Because you have to spend resources to innovate iron, and I'm just trying to innovate leatherworker. So it's technically not something I need yet. Song of the Brave is interesting, but it's really best for just a way to overcome overwhelming darkness, and I'm not fighting level 2 monsters yet. So I don't know about that either. But this also gives you Song of the Brave consequences, and maybe there's something interesting, the fact that you know it's Song of the Brave. That's also possible. So that's a runner-up. Scrap smelting's good, I just don't need it yet, and I can't afford it. I keep getting resources, celebrating that I get so many resources, and then losing all of them, right? So I just can't afford it. Like, it's good, sure, but I can't even afford to do it right now. Cooking will be interesting because it raises my survival limit, so I have more chances to live and do stuff, and I get additional endeavor. So I think definitely one of these two. But I'm not fighting level 2 monsters yet, so it's like, even though I would do this, there's probably some great consequences off it. I think cooking, honestly, is my best bet. Not because I'd use any of these endeavors, but to just raise my survival limit and to get additional endeavor. That way, if people die, I can still do stuff with the settlement, or if everyone comes back, I have more things that I can do with endeavors to power up people that are going out next time. So I'm going to do cooking. Since I'm all about feast anyway, like, let's cook the shit, you know? Like, if we're going to waste a bunch of resources, might as well make it a good meal. Bam! Cooking. All right, let's do cooking. Let's do some cooking. So now I want to get breakfast. Shortly after this. Okay, so we're going to do cooking. So I'll add that to my settlement. Again, what it means is survival limit +1, and I always get an additional endeavor. So I'll write here, depart is always +3, and then I'll say endeavor. How do you spell endeavor, actually? Endeavor. Oh, I'm missing an A. Endeavor. Endeavor +1 when you return. I just make that at the top so I know as summon globally things to remember. Survival limit, departure, when you return, how many endeavors. Just so you don't have to look for information so many places, because I'm sure I've screwed up this game multiple times just from missing all the many bits of information. Okay, so we're adding cooking, which has endeavor stuff, but honestly I'm not going to probably ever do those unless I do something to like ignore starvation. If I'm hunting like a level 3 monster or something, only because they start right next to the starvation point. So this one is +1 survival limits as well as endeavor. Okay, cool. So we learned cooking. So now we have all of these in addition to cooking and barbaric. I'm just going to keep barbaric over here to remind myself to do those bonuses for that event. Cool. All right, so that was the endeavor, my last one. Now the last thing I'm going to do most likely for this is there's nothing I could do with these hides because I was going to hold on to these hides as resources to make the leather worker and then to make leather stuff because you need hides to make leather. So those are going to sit. So that last thing I'm going to do for this, potentially, is love juice, which automatically triggers the intimacy table. All right, so who's going to be the couple? And it has to obviously be a male and a female. So, and I don't do Isma because when I'm doing this intimacy, it also gains people's stats, and Isma's effectively out the entire game. So there's no point doing her. So to overcome other stats, I think I'll do Volva again, to have her be the parent. So I'll do her as the female, and for the male, I don't want to do Jer or Jonas because that's her kids. I'm like, her kids might have sex with each other just because population's so low, but not the parent having sex with their own kids, at least. So not Jer. And not Emily, so I guess that leaves Oko. So this is kind of interesting. So we had this huge celebration feast, right? And then we also learned how to cook. Since we're going through all this food, we're like, hey, let's make the food taste better. We learned cooking. And then, hey, since we're eating, we might as well start fucking too. And so we do love juice. But what's interesting is the couple that's going to copulate is actually what I call the council of the very small settlements. The fact that it's Volva, who now has Twilight Sword, and Oko, who was the insane survivor who keeps murdering people and eating their skulls. And celebrated for doing so. So the council will bear fruitful, powerful children. All right, that's what we'll do. We'll have these two. So what does that mean? This resource is spent, and then I go to the intimacy table, roll 2 dice, and take whatever value I want to do. So it's 133. Intimacy. Then we'll roll and see what happens. We don't have leatherworker. We never made that. I'll show you the pictures again because they're here. Here's a picture of the intimacy couple. So I guess in this picture that would be Oko on the left and Vulva on the right. Oko is super insane and has a couple disorders. Vulva also has a couple disorders, but she is also immortal. So both are crazy and unique in different ways. That doesn't count, even though I wanted it to count. Okay, so we got a 9 and a 10. So both have interesting choices. And I'll tell you why. Because a 9 and a 10 on this table is right here. 9 and 10 would both, you'd read this, but then if you rolled a 10, which is a natural lantern, which I also rolled, you also get a savior. So I currently don't have a savior because my previous savior died. But what this means is I could have twins, and one of the twins, again, can be a savior. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So if you have Hovel, if you don't have a savior, a special child is born. We had a savior, but the savior's dead. Died last lantern year. So what this means is I'll do the natural 10. The settlement celebrates a twice fortunate event. So see all this good food and cooking it for once, and then, you know, having a good time afterwards. Created, I want to say, like a boon of really powerful kids. We're having twins, and one of them is a savior. So it's like we might still be in this, but we just keep getting blasted back down to the floor every time we have any means of progression. So, you know, it's got to keep fighting. All right, so intimacy. The settlement celebrates a twice fortunate event. A pair of healthy newborn survivors enters the world. The settlement gains +2 population. And then in addition, you see the picture here, special child on the upper right picture. On this day, everyone remembers the birth of a very special child. Where they step, hope flourishes. And then I do the birth of a savior story event. So first, let's add 2 more people to the settlement. And because of the light event, everyone involved gets stats, including the children. Involved with sex, anyway. And then the newborn also gets +1 permanent stat because of balance. And then also a +1 strength because of barbaric. So doing all the stats I'll do later, probably off camera. But I just want to make note of it so I remember to do it. Okay, so we got to add 2 more people to the settlement. So the population goes from 6 to 8. And we got to add 2 more names. I think in this case I'll have be fraternal twins, not identical. I did fraternal and then I did twin. I think this time I'll do fraternal. Unless you think I should roll for it. I'll roll for it. Fraternal, odd, identical, even. It's a 3, so it's fraternal. Okay. If I'm saying that word correctly. Fraternal, like fraternity? Or fraternal, like fertility? I don't know. Okay, so I think of 2 more names. I like now naming them based... Since I'm having this huge feast, just something celebratory, like a celebratory name. Yeah, like one could be called Bliss. And now it could be named Could do joy. Bliss and joy. But would bliss be what would be a male name? Yeah, I can do that. Bliss and joy. Okay. And it's fraternal. But fraternal, can't that also be the same sex? Fraternal just means the egg splits. It just means they're not identical. It doesn't mean that the sex. It just means an entirely different egg, right? So they could both be female, but they could be fraternal. Yeah? Do I want to roll for that too, if it's male or female? Odd, male, even, female. For the second. Like, one of them's definitely going to be female. So it's a male and a female. Okay. So Bliss is going to be a male name. Okay. Bliss, male, and Joy, female. And I'll just make a note that star B, star L, and star +1 STG. Star B, star L, star +1 STG. Okay. So we got more population, but also, before I go to the Savior, which would be the last thing we do, because there's nothing else I'm going to make because I'm storing the hides and I'm holding on to the Phoenix pieces for whenever I make that cool katana with the blood sheath. Potentially. Is add the stats to the parents that were involved. So Volva is a parent, which she was a parent before, but now Oko is also a parent. Okay. And then I'll raise their stats. Or I'll also make a note and I'll raise the stats later. No, I'll do it now. Fuck it. So now they both get a light stat. Because, see, what I count is when you see the event happen, you get a bonus, not based on the quantity. So the fact that you had kids, boom, they get a stat. Not if you have 2 kids, you get 2 stats. Okay. So they both get +1 to a stat, and I typically do a stat that they already had. So what I'll do is Volva, I'll get rid of her -1 luck, so she's back at 0. So now she's the actual member of the society. Oko has a lot of strength, a lot of accuracy. I mean, it was lucky that we're still alive. I mean, I'll give, you know what, I'll give 1 the luck. Sure. All right, so everyone's gotten all of their stats. We have a growing population. We did innovate. We do have resources. We didn't get a smorgasbord, but we celebrated and, you know, that influenced stuff. All right, so now we do Savior. So now we do the Savior story event. And I think I already know what Savior I'm going to do. I want to do a different one than I did last time, just to keep it interesting. Birth of a Savior. That's 111. I do like the ones. That's one of my favorite numbers. 1, jokes. Okay. Birth of a Savior. Plus, like, again, it's just fun thematically. The fact that keep doing different stuff just keeps it fun, interesting. So here's the birth painting of a Savior, the baby that they're holding. And then these are the different paths. So I did Dream of the Lantern before, but now I want to do a different one. And I want to do one thematically that fits the best. Because, like, all of these are good in different ways. You have Dream of the Crown and Dream of the Beast. What it says at the top is Birth of a Savior. The newborn vanishes from the loving arms of the settlement for a fraction of a second. In that second, it spends a lifetime in the domain of the ethereal dreamer and returns with a dream. You know what? Like before I did Dream of the Lantern, because we had all the stuff with Hands of Heat and the Lantern, the fact that we had the stuff involving Isma, who's the religious leader, and had this vision of this super cat to hunt. As a reminder, that was the Beast of Sorrow. I think I should then do the Dream of the Beast, because Isma had this dream, and then the Savior also has this dream. So it's like, connecting events as they happen. When I learned about the Lantern, Dream of the Lantern, when I learned about these horrific beast of the god of the White Lions, to do Dream of the Beast. That's what we'll do. So I'll do the one on the left, and I'll have it go to Bliss. Dream of the Beast. Picture with the beast. The newborn savior gains 1 permanent red affinity, plus 1 permanent strength, and the following abilities. We'll get Keratosis. Before making an attack roll, you may declare Keratosis X in a loud booming voice. If you do, the attack gains X automatic hits, and X cannot do more than your total red affinities, and then you gain that much X hunt experience. And then at age 2, I get the Beast of Keratosis Secret Fighting Art, which allows me to do an empowered version of that ability. That automatically happens. And then it also has Life Exchange. In the aftermath, gain an additional hunt experience, and cannot wear other gear called Other. And if triggered a White Story event, ceases to exist. All right, so we will then have Bliss be a savior. Jer, I'll say, was identical twin. Jonas, identical twin. And then I have Savior, who's a twin. And then here we have a twin. Born Lantern 12. Twin, born Lantern 12. Let's see, what did I do for those Savior? I think I said what they were. That was Eve. No, it's on the character card. Okay. So I'll just make a note. Savior, Twin Born Lantern 12, and I'll say Dream of the Beast. And Eve was Dream of the Lantern. Okay, so we got Dream of the Beast. Since Isma's dreaming of stuff and influences other people in this settlement. Okay, so then Bliss will also get an additional +1 permanent strength and 1 red affinity. So I'll change this to +2 strength. And red affinity. Cool. Just to make notes when I create the character card, which I'll do that in between streams, that the person's ready to go. All right, so now we have a savior and more population. Cool. And a higher survival limit and more endeavors. So we're hanging on. We are hanging on. Okay. What else we got? So that was Love Juice. Lastly, we have resources. Now I'm just going to archive this stuff, and that's the end of the stream. Which was, I have to say, it's the balance of light and dark, right? We lost resources, which is, I don't know, maybe that's balance, maybe that's good or bad. And we, I mean, I guess the only thing, I mean, Volva did get maimed, but then had a savior and kids, so. It used to be a battery, just nerfed on stats, just used for her body just feeding Isma like a conduit. Kind of like the Witcher. But now is actually not only a member of the departing survivors, but actually a key member now. So, very interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to archive these resources. I've already archived the other stuff. So we have 3 pelts. And 2 monster hides. And now we are good to go. So like I said, pretty eventful stream. Yeah, the saver I think liked red. Yeah. No, yeah. Sorry, I'm just noticing chat. No, I just it fits story wise. Before, like I said, I did Lantern of the Dreamer because I had Lantern specific things going on with Hands of Heat, and now since I have Beast specific stuff with the Beast of Sorrow, I just feel like it fits since Isma has visions and influences the society. So I think it fits. And it's a new type of savior to play around with. Yep. Cool. Well, that's the end of this stream. Thanks for watching. I do plan on hunting the antelope this time. I'm still going to keep it at level 1 just because I don't have high enough armor on 4 people yet. I only have high enough armor really on 2. But really what I want to do is farm resources. I definitely want to try to crit farm if possible. We'll see how it goes. And also to figure out who is going to depart also. But I'll do that in between streams and show you what I decide next stream. But yeah, think about Antelope level 1. But again, like what I was going to lead before I noticed chat was, you know, I had a lot of cool stuff happen, some devastating stuff, but, you know, fit story-wise, and also, you know, I made some changes just so mechanically, game-wise, it was more fair and fit with what was happening previously in the game, and then also that keeps stuff fun and new and exciting, right? Like I said, it's a balance. Like I've, you know, you have interesting stuff. You know, I've had some good things, some bad things, but you know, keep it fair and punishing and intriguing because that's what makes a good story, right? Well, thanks for watching. Again, next episode, what's going to be is the hunt phase for the Screaming Antelope. So it'll be the departing survivors and the hunt, and then the arriving for the showdown and setting up the strategy for the showdown. The showdown itself will be a different stream. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Ismortah, and I will catch you next time.